Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest deep dive by Defense Report for sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments.
And today, we are going deep on a story that is fundamentally reshaping NATO's air power right here in Europe.
We're talking about fifth-generation fighters,
Right.
specifically the F-35. It's quickly becoming the backbone of the alliance, which sounds great.
Yeah.
But there is a huge problem.
A massive problem.
The platform's success has created this monumental training bottleneck.
Yeah.
You have 12 NATO nations now operating or waiting for these jets.
And by the early 2030s, we're expecting over 600 F-35s on the continent. That's hundreds, maybe thousands of pilots who need to be trained.
And until now, almost all of that really high-end training, it's been funneled through the United States. It's putting a tremendous strain on places like Luke Air Force Base.
That kind of dependence is a strategic vulnerability, no question.
Okay, so here's the news that changes everything. Today, January 9th, 2026, we got the formal announcement. Italy to open Europe's first F-35 training center to avoid sending pilots to the U.S.
And this move, it could be a game changer for Ukraine, for the whole eastern flank.
It's a massive strategic play that immediately boosts European self-reliance, European readiness right across the continent.
It is so much more than just convenience. It's an act of strategic decentralization. It makes the entire alliance more resilient. So our mission today is to unpack the implications of this, a $112.6 million investment at Trapani Birgi Air Base in Sicily.
And we're going to explain why moving this capacity to Europe is so critical for NATO's southern and especially its eastern flanks. All right, let's jump right into this new hub. The Lightning Training Center, or LTC, at Trapani Birgi. This is all about cutting that logistical umbilical cord to the U.S., right?
Exactly. The main motivation is just meeting the surging demand for training right here, and at the same time, reducing that deep reliance on the U.S.
I mean, it must be an operational nightmare, sending pilots and jets across the Atlantic for months.
It's a huge operational and financial headache for every single European Air Force. So this new facility, it provides a critical, sovereign, and regional solution.
And sovereign is definitely the key word here. This isn't some small temporary setup. What are the nuts and bolts of the project?
Well, it's a major commitment. We're talking $112.6 million, mostly from Italy, but with the F-35 Joint Program Office and industry partners, Lockheed Martin and Leonardo heavily involved.
And the timeline?
It's fast. It reflects the urgency. They're looking at initial ground training starting by December 2028. The whole center should be fully operational by July 2029.
That is remarkably quick. So what does it look like once it's up and running?
Trapani Birgi is going to become this dual-purpose F-35 powerhouse. It'll host one of Italy's own operational F-35 squadrons.
Okay, so a boost for Italy's own capabilities.
A big one. And alongside that, a dedicated multinational training squadron. So you see, this instantly positions Italy not just as a user of the F-35, but as a central hub for F-35 expertise for all of Europe.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because Italy already has the F-35 final assembly and checkout facility, the FACO, up at Cameri.
Right. That's where they build jets for themselves and the Netherlands and do major work for other allies.
So they're building them, maintaining them, and now they're going to be training the pilots.
That combination is transformative. It moves Italy way beyond being just another customer. By controlling both the FACO and now the primary European training hub, Italy is basically becoming a co-architect of the entire F-35 program on the continent.
Which means standardized training, closer to home, faster deployments, especially for allies on that eastern perimeter.
Exactly. It's critical for deterrence.
But look, you can't just build a hangar and call it an F-35 school. This jet is notoriously sensitive. What's the big technical hurdle here?
The security hurdle is enormous, and frankly, it's why the investment is so large. To do this properly, you have to build a secure special access program facility, a SAPF.
A SAPF. Unpack that for us. Why is that so non-negotiable?
Well, because the F-35 isn't just a jet. It's a flying supercomputer. Its real power is in its software, its data. And all that classified mission data, the threat libraries, the sensor profiles, it all has to be handled in a totally secure environment.
Without that, you can't really use the plane to its full potential.
Not even close. You can't leverage its stealth or its sensor fusion. So this $112.6 million investment is proof that Italy is committed to doing this at the absolute highest level. And that also includes building using 2 dedicated full-mission simulators, which are key to the whole training model.
Okay.
So we've covered the new buildings going up at Trapani, but the real story, the reason this is going to work, is that it's all based on a model Italy is already running, a proven, internationally validated model.
You're talking about the International Flight Training School, the IFTS, over at Decimomanu in Sardinia. This is for that earlier stage, phase FE training.
That's the one. IFTS is really the foundation for all of this. It's a strategic collaboration between the Italian Air Force and industry partners like Leonardo and CAE. It's a hybrid model.
How does that work in practice?
The Air Force keeps total control of the curriculum, the standards, military excellence. But the industry partners, they handle all the logistics, the maintenance, the fleet support. It's incredibly efficient.
And the numbers coming out of there, they're pretty staggering.
They are. You have 22 M346 advanced trainers, 7 simulators. They train over 80 pilots a year, and get this, 2/3 of those pilots are from other countries.
15 different nations I saw, including Japan, Germany, the UK. That shows a huge amount of international trust.
It does. But the ultimate validation, the real seal of approval, came in 2025.
The agreement for the U.S. Air Force to send its pilots there. That was historic.
It was completely unprecedented. In August 2025, the USAF committed to sending its pilots for Phase 5 training at a foreign NATO school for the very first time. And this wasn't just, a gesture.
No, this was born out of necessity.
It absolutely was. The U.S. was facing these persistent delays with its own new trainer, the T-7 Air Red Hawk. They needed a high-quality substitute, and fast.
And the Italian M346 was the perfect fit.
Perfect. It has a digital cockpit software that mirrors the F-35. It meant the U.S. pilot pipeline could keep flowing without interruption. The first American group started their 9-month course in September 2025.
Okay, so the IFTS is proving its worth. But what does this mean in terms of, measurable results for these pilots and their air forces?
The outcomes are, honestly, they're revolutionary. We're seeing that pilots who graduate from IFTS need an incredible 30% less training time when they move on to their final F-35 or Eurofighter conversion unit.
30%. That is a massive saving in time, in money, and it's a huge boost to readiness. How do they do that?
It's not about how fast the jet flies, it's about cognitive conditioning. The M346 is a software-centric trainer. It gets the pilots thinking in the right way, managing sensors, processing data before they even sit in an F-35.
So they arrive at the conversion unit with all that mental architecture already in place.
Exactly. They aren't learning the basics. They're honing high-end combat skills from day one. And in a contested environment, being able to generate trained pilots that quickly is a critical advantage for NATO.
And that idea of cognitive conditioning, it leads us straight into the tech that makes all this possible. Live, virtual, and constructive training, LVC.
Absolutely. The main challenge for an F-35 pilot isn't just flying the plane. It's managing this tidal wave of data from the sensors, making split-second decisions in a complex network environment.
Something you just can't replicate by flying around in circles in clear skies.
No. Traditional flying hours alone can't prepare you for the scale and danger of a real peer-level conflict. That's where LVC comes in.
Which they've pioneered at IFTS and will be the core of the new center at Trapani. So how does it work? How do you blend live, virtual, and constructive into one seamless reality?
Okay, so live is the easy part. That's a real pilot in a real M346 flying over Sardinia. Virtual is other pilots sitting in high-fidelity simulators on the ground, but they are networked into the same exercise.
Okay.
And constructive is the real magic. That's the computer-generated forces. Synthetic enemy aircraft, sophisticated jamming, surface-to-air missile threats. All of it is injected digitally into the displays of every pilot, whether they're in the air or in a simulator.
So just to be clear, a single pilot flying live over Sicily could be training against a whole squadron of digital enemy fighters that only exist in the network.
And they could be coordinating with a wingman who is sitting in a simulator thousands of miles away. It gives you incredible training density.
You can practice these incredibly complex, high-risk scenarios.
Over and over again, and you do it safely, you do it affordably, and you do it without the massive fuel and maintenance costs of putting dozens of real planes in the air. It's a win for readiness and, frankly, for the environment.
From an alliance perspective for collective defense, this level of interoperability has to be the biggest takeaway.
Without a doubt. When you train multinational pilots together, first on the M346 and then on the F-35, using the same procedures, the same mental frameworks for handling data, You ensure that when they deploy together, they are truly fighting together.
Not just flying in the same bit of sky.
Exactly. Getting 12 different air forces to agree on a standardized way of thinking about networked war is incredibly hard. This central hub enforces that standard.
So whether they're flying missions over the Baltics or on the southern flank.
They share a common tactical language, a deep, shared understanding of how to use the F-35's digital power as a team. And that shared cognitive backbone is fundamental to NATO's deterrent posture across the entire continent. Italy is building a pillar of resilience for all of Europe.
So to bring this all together, Italy's commitment with these two centers, the proven IFTS for the lead-in training and this new Lightning Training Center for the F-35 itself, it creates a complete, sovereign, and technologically advanced pilot pipeline right here in Europe.
It's a strategic tipping point, a huge one. It enhances the resilience, the speed, the capacity of NATO air power in the region. That old necessity of relying on bases an ocean away, well, that's being eliminated by European leadership.
And it really sets up a provocative question for the future, doesn't it? We know this M346 LVC model cuts that final conversion time by 30%. It does that by reshaping how the pilot thinks about software and data.
Right, the mental furniture, as our sources put it.
So if the training is now almost entirely about data management and networked fighting, should future allied investment shift even more heavily toward these sophisticated simulation systems and, away from just piling up expensive live flying hours?
That 30% number is the most powerful argument there is for simulation. It has profound budget implications for every defense ministry in NATO.
And one more thing. Think about the Global Combat Air Program, GCCAPI, the new fighter being developed by the UK, Japan, and Italy. If these Italian hubs are proving LVC is the way to go, how quickly will this model become the absolute foundation for training GCCAP pilots, ensuring that next-gen fighter is built from day one to be trained this way? You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.